Greetings, everybody. I hope that everyone is good today. So let us quickly have a look at the NASDAQ chart. So let's start. So I've got the monthly chart for NASDAQ open. So we now need to ask ourselves in terms of what it is that we see that is interesting on this particular monthly chart. So from my side, the first thing that I can see is that we had sorry, just bear with me. We had this structure over here, which was a W formation, and it's actually an extended W formation, with the neckline being in that region. However, we never got to see price coming back to retest the neckline and then going up. And actually, this may be what's actually happening, that price may be coming down to this level to test it out, and then head up in this direction. So that's the first thing that I see on the monthly chart. So let's continue. What else can we tell by just looking at this particular monthly chart? Let me just make it slightly bigger. Another thing that I can see is that we had this area over here, which is currently a very strong, or rather was a very strong area of support. As price got to this point, it went down, then it broke the area in this region, making this area a resistance. Price went up to this point and came back to retest that area, which is now support, and then we saw price going back up again. And quite recently, it came back to retest the very same area that I'm talking about. I'm just going to add a line to this area so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So let's continue. So what else can we see on this particular chart? We also had an overextended M formation in this region, with the neckline being over there. However, we also never got to see price retracing to the neckline to retest it and then pushing down. And actually, this is what may happen next. Should price come back to this level, we may start looking for possible selling opportunities as well, especially because we have this candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So what this tells us is that at this level we have liquidity sitting there, and at one point or another the market has to come back to this level to grab some of that liquidity before actually going up. So that may happen, or it may happen years from now. So let's continue. I'm just gonna add actually a neckline to the M structure that I just spoke about. Just bear with me, guys. I'm just gonna add a neckline here so that we don't forget about this M structure that we just spoke about now. So let's continue. Another thing that is quite interesting that I can see is that we have this candle over here, which is a bullish candle with a small body and a long upper wick. So this tells us that we have liquidity sitting at that level, and the market must at one point or another come back to that level to trigger that liquidity. Excuse me. Let's continue. So we are now on the weekly chart. What do we see on this particular chart? So on the weekly chart, we had on the left hand side of the chart a whole lot of W formations, like in the structure here. We also had another one here with the neckline being there. This one had a neckline there, price went up, came back to retest the neckline, and then went up again. This one as well, the W formed, price went up, came back to retest the W formation, almost went up, but it ended up breaking that structure, right? So what else can we tell on this particular chart? We also had this candlestick over here. It's a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick, which meant that price had to come back to this level to trigger some of that liquidity that was stuck there. It was also a strong area of support as price rejected here and then rejected here as well. And then on the third time, it failed to hold this level and price just broke below. So what else can we tell by looking at this chart? We also have this candlestick, which is a liquidity candlestick, which tells us that price has to come back to this level actually to trigger some of that liquidity. And in fact, in my humble opinion, we're likely to see price coming to this level before actually totally reversing to the upside. Another thing that is very important is that the current weekly candle is also a bearish candle with a small body and a long lower wick. So this tells us that within the next week we are likely to see price coming back maybe to this level to form actually a W formation to trigger the liquidity that's sitting there, and then we might see an actual reversal to maybe around this area where the neckline of this M structure is, and we might see a reversal from here heading down to, with price heading down to that area that I spoke about on the monthly chart, where we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting at. So let's continue. So what else do we see on this particular chart? We also seem to have what seems to be a head and shoulders pattern, with the left shoulder being here, the head being there, and the right hand shoulder being here. So let's continue. From here, I'm just gonna head on over to the daily chart. On the daily chart, I'm going to add my channels. Just bear with me. Here we go. There we go. So what do we see on the daily chart? On the daily chart, I see that we had an information there with the neckline being in that region. Price went down, came up to retest the information in this region, and went down again. We would have looked for a selling opportunity in this region, and if you sold here, good for you. We also saw another information here with the neckline being in this region. However, we never got to see price coming back to retest the information or the neckline of that information and then coming down. And actually, that's what we may see happening in the next week, where price would come back to the neckline to retest it and then push down to fill that candlestick we spoke about in this region, which needs to be filled, which contains a whole lot of liquidity. I think I'm going to add my Fibonacci tool to see if this particular neckline aligns with any of the key areas of Fibonacci. So actually, let me just add a neckline before I do that. Just bear with me. There we go. And then I'm going to add my Fibonacci tool. There we go. So we can actually see that the neckline of our information actually aligns with the 61.8% Fibonacci zone, right? Excuse me. And should price come back to this level, we will likely look for selling opportunities to about this level as our first take profit level, as there is liquidity that's sitting here, and we have a candlestick on the weekly chart, which is a bearish candlestick with a long lower wick, which, as I said, indicates that we have liquidity grab that needs to happen here at that level. Excuse me. So let's continue. I'm just going to delete this Fibonacci tool, and from here I'm just going to go back to, or rather go to the 4-hour chart. Another thing that I can see is that we have a very strong area of support at this level, as we had 1, 2, 3 touches at this particular level. So let's continue. I've got the H4 chart open. On this chart, I'm just gonna fix my daily channel so that it's as accurate as possible, just to ensure that at the end of the day, when we do execute, our executions are accurate. Excuse me. So on the H4 chart, I'm just gonna add the or rather my channel as well. There we go. I'm just gonna make it a different color so that it also stands out. There we go. So on this particular H4 chart, what do we see that is of significance or interesting? So I can see that price attempted to create an inverted head and shoulders pattern here, right? And it may be that it's coming to this level, this neckline that I spoke about earlier, and from here we might possibly see a retracement. So what else can we see on this particular chart that is of interest? Let's see. Another thing that is very interesting is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strong bullish candles. So this tells me that a reversal is imminent. A reversal has to happen at some point. And as I said, the neckline of just bear with me, guys. Let me just bring up my drawing tool. The neckline of this information, which is here, aligns with the 0.61 Fibonacci zone. So on the lower charts, should we get some sort of an information here, we should be looking for selling opportunities to about this level over here as our first take profit zone, right? But right now, I do not see any opportunities in as far as buying and selling is concerned. However, let me just go to the H1 chart to see if there's anything else that is of value or interesting. Okay, here we are. We've got the H1 chart open. Let's see. We have this strong area here of support. In fact, the price may actually not even reach this particular neckline. It may come back to just here and then give us that M structure and a reversal to this level over here, where we have that candle filling that needs to take place. Also, we have a W structure in this region with the neckline being there. So what this tells me also is, over and above us having that bearish candle with a small body and a long lower wick in this region on the weekly chart, this W tells me that we have a whole lot of stop orders, or rather stop losses, that are here at this level, because as we know, a lot of traders um enter based on M and W formations. So it actually makes sense that price has to come back here to grab the liquidity that's sitting here, as well as to trigger those stop losses that are sitting here. And that's when maybe we might see a reversal, or price may continue going down. So that is it, guys, as far as the NASDAQ 100 chart is concerned. Just to recap, for now I do not see any opportunities. What I would do is I would wait for price to reach this area or this area, and then look for potential selling opportunities on the lower charts. And my first take profit would be around this area, which is the 11692.54 area. Thank you guys for watching, and